bacteria. More than 100 trillion are on you right now. That is more than 10 times as many cells you have in your entire body. But wait, if there are so many microbes surrounding us constantly, then why aren't we all sick? This is because of a crucial part of your body known as the immune system. This part of your body is constantly keeping you and everybody healthy and alive. There are many different ways different organisms have evolved to deal with the invasion of microbes. In fact, the response between vertebrates and invertebrates aren't the same. The first thing we need to discuss is the two different ways the immune system responds and how the immune system identifies these deadly microbes. The first type of defense is innate immunity. This immune system response is found in all organisms. It activates immediately upon infection and does not change no matter how many times it has encountered the same microbe. The second type of defense is acquired immunity. Acquired immunity is slightly different than innate immunity. It actually reacts slower than innate immunity responses, but it improves every time it encounters a microbe. In order to respond to these dangers, our body must be able to identify them. For innate immunity, organisms use a small set of receptors to identify a broad range of pathogens. But for acquired immunity, organisms use a vast array of receptors to identify specific pathogens. While both of these responses help deal with microbes, not all living things need them both. Invertebrates actually use only innate immune responses and thrive in our world today. Since invertebrates only use innate immune responses, we'll start with them. Part of the innate immunity is the barrier defenses. We'll use an insect as an example. The barrier defenses found in an insect are an exoskeleton composed mainly of polysaccharide chitin, a chitin-like barrier in the intestine, lysozyme which digests the cell wall of microbes, and a low pH in the digestive system. However, these don't always work. Some pathogens may get past the barriers. This is when the internal defenses kick in. Hemocytes, which circulate throughout the insect in hemolymph, which is the insect's form of blood, use phagocytosis to digest bacteria or other foreign substances. Others can also signal to start the production of chemicals, which injure and kill the microbes and trap multicellular parasites. Other cells, as well as the hemocyte, can also secrete antimicrobial peptides when near a pathogen, which disrupt the cell membrane of bacteria. One antimicrobial peptide can provide an effective defense against a particular pathogen. The insect detects these foreign objects by secreting recognition proteins that bind to specific polysaccharides found in fungi and combinations of sugars and amino acids in bacteria. They also have the protein toll, which is on the tip of receptors, which signals the production of antimicrobial peptides. Now, let's take a look at vertebrates. Vertebrates have similar innate immune defenses to invertebrates. Let's use humans as an example. The barrier defenses include the epithelial tissue, mucous membranes around orifices, lysozyme in the mucus and saliva, and secretions from the skin give it a pH of 3 to 5. These all mostly protect our body from microbes all around us, but they can still find ways to infect us. This is where they meet the cellular innate defenses. White blood cells use phagocytosis to remove these bacteria, which are identified using toll-like receptors similar to the protein toll in invertebrates. There are three types of white blood cells, which are granulocytes, monocytes, and lymphocytes. Granulocytes include eosinophils, neutrophils, and others. Monocytes include dendritic cells and macrophages. Finally, lymphocytes include T and B cells, which we will discuss later. Eosinophils are better at dealing with multicellular organisms like parasites by secreting destructive enzymes. Neutrophils are attracted to pathogens, where they engulf the foreign substance and destroy it. Macrophages also have a similar process. They either flow through the body in blood or wait in common areas microbes flow to, like the lymph nodes. Dendritic cells stimulate acquired immunity to activate when a pathogen is detected. Eosinophils and dendritic cells provide a more limited defense. As I was saying before, Toll-like receptors allow our body to identify foreign bodies or substances. For example, toll-like receptor 3, which is on the inside of vesicles formed by endocytosis, detects double strands of RNA commonly found in viruses. Toll-like receptor 4, which is on immune cell plasma membranes, detects lipopolysaccharide, which is found on the surface of bacteria. These objects which the toll-like receptor detects are not commonly found in the vertebrate's body, which makes identifying it easier. The toll-like receptor causes the white blood cell to begin phagocytosis, where the foreign substance is destroyed by a lysosome after being placed in a vesicle inside the white blood cell. We vertebrates have antimicrobial proteins and peptides as well. Interferons are the proteins that provide the innate defenses against infections of the body. Virus-infected cells will actually secrete interferons to trigger other cells to produce substances that halt virus reproduction. This halts the spread of viruses to other cells. Other interferons signal macrophages to activate and enhance their phagocytic ability. 30 proteins in the blood plasma also help as antimicrobial proteins. They are referred to as the complement system. They are activated by substances on microbes and assist in inflammation. Inflammation of a recent injury is caused by the signaling molecules released near the area. Histamine is a major signal molecule which is stored in mast cells that secrete chemicals when the body is harmed. Histamines actually cause blood vessels to dilate, allowing them to be more permeable. This allows antimicrobial fluids to pass through and defend our body against possible infection. Other cells, like macrophages, encourage blood flow to the area, which results in the usual redness and heat. Other reactions can cause a rise in the production of white blood cells by an enormous amount. Another internal defense are natural killer cells. They detect and eliminate certain disease cells in vertebrates. Most cells in the body release the protein called a class 1 MHC molecule. If the cell becomes infected, it automatically halts production of this protein, which attracts the natural killer cells, which releases chemicals that kill the cell, destroying the virus along with it. Our innate immunity is fascinating, but we must move on to the acquired immunity in vertebrates. Let's start with the aforementioned B and T cells, or lymphocytes. Lymphocytes originate from the stem cells in bone marrow. Lymphocytes that move from the bone marrow to the thymus are called T cells. Lymphocytes that mature in the bone marrow are referred to as B cells. Both B and T cells inactivate foreign bodies and molecules, and they contribute to an incredible feature of the immune system called immunological memory. This can protect us from many diseases for decades if our body has encountered it and survived before. As Greek historian Thucydides stated, "For the same man was never attacked twice, never at least fatally." Although they are different, innate immunity and acquired immunity aren't separate. A good example is the cytokine. Macrophages and dendritic cells secrete cytokine when defending against pathogens. The cytokine then activates B and T cells, which start to prepare to join the defense. Cytokines are also important in other jobs. A type of cytokine, known as the interleukin, is especially important because it monitors cell growth, differentiation, motility, and stimulates immune responses like inflammation. It determines which cells will respond to the identified pathogen. Now, back to B and T cells. B and T cells each have receptor proteins that specifically bind to a foreign molecule. All of these proteins are the same for each B and T cell, but there are millions of types of B and T cells. B and T cells with receptors are activated when our body is infected. When activated, lymphocytes divide to create a set of daughter cells to provide defense for future infections of the same microbe. Other types of T cells will kill infected cells, while other B cells will destroy microbes and body fluids. Wow, that is a lot of information. This is why our immune system is so important. It does so many things on the molecular scale that are huge to our survival. However, this is only the tip of the iceberg. There is a whole field of science and medicine dedicated to the study and observation of our immune system. Because of these parts of our body, we survive today. I hope you have enjoyed my video, and thanks for watching.